We're live. Hey guys. Got Toni here with me. Can't see her, but she's with us, so trust that. Yeah, I'm over here at Charlie and Colleen's place.
Hi, everybody.
Charlie Charlie's sitting next to me, says hello.
Love you so much.
Yeah, hey Barbara, Jolanta, Sharon, Ichabod, Spartan, Kathleen, Tanya. Hey guys. Yeah, thanks for joining us today. Yeah, so really excited about getting this series up and going. It's just kind of a regular part of our, what we do because it's amazing, and I'm sure Toni can attest to this. But the amount of questions that we get related to health is, just astronomical, and I'm sure Toni's amount dwindles mine. So it'd be good to just have a regular conversation to answer these kind of questions. So we're gonna try and keep it to an hour, but an hour every week where we can take some questions from people and really get some good information out there. So Toni, did you have anything to add to that, the introduction?
Yeah, I would like to let people know that I'm a certified Dr. Morse practitioner. So he is my mentor, my teacher, and I still consider myself his student because I keep learning more and more. And he does videos where he answers questions. Well, I think I know probably 1% of what he knows, and I hope to up that, sure, but I do know a few things. And but the first question that I read was about pineapple. And a lot of people say that pineapple is toxic and you shouldn't eat it, and you can only get it unripe, and then it's not healthy. And there's truth to that. Because I always wondered why my mouth is so burning when I eat a pineapple, and it kind of tasted sweet and it was still burning. And that means it was not ripe. The problem with a pineapple, a not ripe pineapple, you can leave it on the counter until it starts smelling, and then you think it is ripe, but actually that is when it's rotting. It's still not ripe the way it comes from what is it, from a tree. So yeah, it is like if you can eat it without any problems, it doesn't bother your mouth, it doesn't bother your stomach, you're fine with it, eat it. But never ever buy a pineapple that is green, because it will hurt your system, and it is actually toxic. So that was one question that we had, and that it would for this person only work when having a migraine. I think there's more going on with migraines. If you have a headache, you can always relate it back to other foods. So there can be so many reasons. So if you want to dig in further, then I definitely contact me, and we can go over what else it can be.
Yeah, and again important to just listen to our body and truly trust our inner wisdom. And so that's why it's so vital to get pure with fruit and to detox from consuming all sorts of things and really lessen the amount of things that we are consuming, because then we can really highlight and hone in on what what we consume and how it affects us. So with the pineapple specifically, like Toni said, if it bothers you, then don't eat it. But if it doesn't bother you, then you're probably fine. But it is good to note that if we're getting pineapples that are not in their optimum ripeness, it still is adding a little bit of toxicity to our bodies, which is not optimum. So again, this goes back to this idea that we need to be growing our own fruit. And when we can truly know that it has been ripened on the tree to the perfect level, then that's the optimum form of it. So any step in between is just another detachment. It's another disconnect between us and the mother, between us and God. And the more we can reduce those disconnects between us and the mother, the better we can be in harmonious symbiosis with this experiment, with this experience that we're playing with. So, as a result, we experience a pain body experience from eating an unripe piece of fruit. And that's just to indicate to us it's a learning mechanism to say, hey, you should probably let that ripen up. So yeah, just good to pay attention to. And I have heard that, Toni, I don't know if you've heard this too, but I've heard that if you cut up a pineapple and put it in the fridge overnight, it can help reduce that bromelain effect a little bit. I don't know if you've had any success with that.
I have not tried that, but
Okay.
what I do, and actually it's interesting that you mentioned that, because I learned over the years that frozen fruit that you buy in a grocery store, organic frozen fruit, is always picked ripe and then right away frozen. So if you want to be sure, actually, that you want that you have ripe fruit, that would be one way to go. But now you see that, if you put it in the fridge overnight, then it wouldn't hurt you. That's interesting. I have to look into that.
Yeah, it was just something I'd heard from a YouTube channel, OK Raw, which he's been a raw foodist for a long time.
Yeah.
And he says that helps with the burning sensation in the mouth, as if he leaves it
Yeah,
overnight,
but
reduces
still,
it.
it still doesn't make it ripe.
No, it doesn't, and it's not
It's
ideal. But
yeah.
sometimes we kind of have to work with what we have to work with at the moment. But with that idea of like, hey, if I want to reduce these discomforts, then I need to be moving to a space where I can grow all my own food and let it ripen.
Well, the pineapples are easy to grow. You can grow them anywhere.
Really? You can grow
Yeah, oh,
them?
you can even grow them in house. I mean,
Oh, wow.
if you have the top of a pineapple and you put it in soil, it grows. Doesn't matter where you are.
Well, that's great to know. I
Because
love pineapple.
I've done it.
Perfect. So you can just grow it as a house plant, and then you have a pineapple. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, it's a tiny one. I have one growing now in the yard, and the poor thing, the top was floating in water for a long time, and I was like, well, I should put it in soil, and maybe it will do something. And it's getting beautiful. It's not a big size yet, but it's definitely getting there. So it's exciting because now I have to wait until it's really ripe.
Yeah, that's great.
The next question was about hot flashes, and
Mm.
actually, I have to say the first question about the pineapple was from Amy, and this is a question from Tara, and she asked about hot flashes. It is an interesting thing because I never had that when I went through menopause. I had no signs whatever, and it's only recently that I learned it's actually related to the thyroid. Now, to heal the thyroid, every diet always comes first. So if you clean up your diet, you already start healing. And then it's probably that your thyroid needs a little help, and definitely your kidneys, and then your lymph starts moving, and then the hot flashes disappear. So it's simpler than you would think.
Cool. Yeah, I don't have much to add on that.
Well, you didn't have girlfriends with hot flashes.
No, not yet.
I got a few more years to go for that. And another question that Tara had was about Primrose Oil. If it helps you, yeah, you can use it, but just understand that Primrose Oil is fat, and you don't want too much fat in your body when you try to heal. So when you are on all fruit, you actually may not need it at all.
Good to know.
And yeah, and sometimes I read that, I'm juicing here and there, but it's either you go for it all the way, or you keep the here and there, and then you keep the hot flashes, to say it simple.
Yeah. You just gotta lean into it or deal with it,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
it's we all do that. It's like we're 80% fruit, and then we complain that we're not healing, but really, if you want to dig in and really heal, then at least transition to all fruits. It doesn't have to be juices right away. I mean, all fruit, my gosh, you are already doing great. the juices come later. You don't have to do, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks of juices only. You can do 1 week of juice, you do 1 week of fruit, you can add a little veggies here and there, but always keep track of how you feel. How do things make you feel? Be in touch with your body.
Right. Yeah, and just to remind people that there are, if people are still looking for a little bit of savory and intimidated by this all fruit idea, that tomatoes are still fruits, cucumbers are still fruits, bell peppers are still fruits, so you can still make a delicious salad that's all fruit and still have that savory kind of that taste to it. So just, it doesn't have to be all sweet all the time. Ideally, when we get pure, and that's the only flavor that we crave. But until we get to that point, there are ways to transition into that a little bit easier.
Yeah, it's I do it. I mean, you can even put a salad in a blender and make a cold soup.
Yep.
If you like to have some leafy greens in it, and add some those Italian herbs or other kitchen herbs, cilantro, parsley, little dulse would be great. Very tasty.
For a little salt craving, if you have a salt craving, dulse is great.
Yeah,
I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you. I saw a neat method of if you have a salt craving, of taking celery and putting it in the dehydrator, dehydrating it down, and then blending that up into a powder and using that dehydrated celery as like a salt substitute. Have you ever heard of that, or do you have any thoughts?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can even buy that. You can buy celery salts, and but I wouldn't use too much. But yeah, you can use that.
Right. Yeah, just to add a little bit of stuff to it.
But my personal experience is, and I hear that from a lot of people, is that when you are on 2-3 days of all fruit, there is no craving. And I was absolutely the worst one with the salt cravings. Everything needed to have salt, a lot. And then I'm on, well, actually after the first day already, it's like, I don't even want any salt. It's just the fruit. So when you get to the first few days, those cravings are gone. You don't need to substitute.
Yeah, I wish I could say that was the case for me, because I've done longer stints of juicing and only fruits and things of that nature, but it's still just always there in the back of my mind. Oh man, I would love
maybe you need
love
to
to have
detox.
a little bit of salty taste.
Yeah, maybe you need to detox a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And for more cleaning out. It was I noticed it actually later, because I was already for pretty much a year on all raw and mostly fruit. And then when I started eating some avocados and some hummus, and I shouldn't do that, because then my pain, arthritis, comes right back, the inflammation. And then I was like back on the fruit juices, and it's like, hey, I don't have any cravings at all. But I've been on this process for 2.5 years. So.
Right. Yeah. I just got to remind myself that I just started in November, so I got time.
Yeah. Well, you get there. Another question by a name I cannot read. I only have the email, but it is about kidneys and kidney functions. And Dr. Morse had recommended this person to only use fruit, berries, and melons. That is actually the 3 things that we always say if you're sick and you need to heal. It's fruits, berries, and melons. Now, the question is actually, if you have very little kidney function, can you still heal it? Well, Dr. Morse always says, as long as you can pee, you can heal. And that's actually interesting. So that means that people, even on dialysis, as long as they can pee, as long as they, still urinate, they can heal. But it takes time.
Right.
And dedication.
Yeah.
And if they want to connect with me about going further into this and getting the kidneys healed, because I'm pretty sure there are other problems going on also, then we do use herbal formulas that will help the kidneys. and it will help the lymph system and the adrenals. So, but we have to go over that. It's not something that I can recommend here.
Right. Yeah.
But the question
Specifically
was
some.
actually, is juice feasting a good idea? It is a good idea, but only when you transition into it, not like from a standard diet, like, oh no,
Right.
now I'm going to juice and everything is fine, because your body needs to adjust. It takes time.
Right.
And you have to give it time, because otherwise you're going to be in pain and it's no fun, and it's not, you cannot maintain it. Because then you go back to your old ways, like, oh, this is not working, or I feel like whatever, not good.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's to ease in there. And yeah, I love to connect with this person and give him some further options.
Great. Yeah, just to add some testimony on the detox symptoms that you can experience. So when I went on my first juice feast in December of last year, I had been on a conventional diet in October, and then I slowly kind of transitioned for a few weeks. You know, it wasn't like a long period of time, but I had been transitioning away from animal products, and then into whole foods, and then into specifically raw foods for about a week and a half before going into the juice feast. And wow, my detox symptoms were painful. They were uncomfortable to deal with. You know, I had really nasty mouth ulcers that would just linger for, it felt like weeks at a time, just really painful. It was hard to even speak at times. And then I would get really nauseous. There would be days where I was super nauseous. So it's not something to take lightly. It's serious stuff. And you know, I knew that I was doing everything properly for my body to get into that space. And it helps with my motivation to know that I was really just dealing with the parasites that were giving me all these cravings, the candida dying off, and all the other sorts of things. But it is important to point that out to anyone who's turning onto this journey, because that's usually what discourages people, is that initial detox, and they think, oh well, it's the fruit or it's the juice that's causing all these issues. It's like, no, you're getting rid of a lifetime of gunk that you've built up in your body. All these parasites are just throwing a fit. So it's really important to remember. And yes, as Toni said, to go into it slowly. You know, make sure you're cautious with how you approach it, because that's the recipe for success, for longevity, for maintaining this as a lifestyle instead of just a quick fix.
Yeah, you are a pretty brave person.
Yeah, and Charlie just wrote down that sodium bicarb on the tongue or on your sores in your mouth are really helpful at reducing that pain, and helping those heal a lot faster, because their sodium bicarbonate is alkalizing. So it's a
It
great way
is.
to
Yes.
bring that balance back into your mouth or wherever it needs to be.
Yeah, and if you have mouth ulcers, you can use a little aloe vera in your mouth on it. You
Mm,
can use a little honey, but
mm,
definitely baking soda, that will help.
yeah,
It will help at the alkalinity. The other thing is that it's not just a parasite that make the problems in your body. It is when you start on all fruit, you have a lymph system, which is the sewer system of the body, and stuff needs to come out. If
mhm,
your kidneys are kind of blocked because of all the junk you've been eating for many, many years, it has to come out somewhere. So that's often your skin. So you get ulcers, you get bumps, you get cysts, and whatever, because your skin is your third kidney. So the
mhm,
lymph has to come out. Now, when you are on all fruit, it starts flowing better, so you can get rid of it, and that makes a world of difference. And for a safe detox, or a safe transition, I would say take at least 3 months,
mm,
and do it slowly. And I have to say, I didn't have any detox symptoms. And if I
nice.
do have something, and I'm on all fruit and I do everything right, and I have a pain here or there, and it's like, embrace it. I just embrace it, because my body is working hard to fix it.
Right.
So
Yeah,
that's how
it,
yeah, that's how I see it.
yeah, when it's just that trust too, you know, nothing that grows of this earth. I mean, for nothing, no fruit is going to hurt you. No fruit is going to hurt
No,
you
that's
by consuming it.
that's
So
good
it's
that
just,
you yeah, that's good that you say that, because that is what I hear Dr. Morse say all the time. Fruit
mm,
never killed anybody.
no.
It's,
So it's
it's
that
just that easy. And that we get now to the next question is actually from Georgian,
great.
and it's about diabetics. So how can you be on fruit if you are a diabetic? Well, I was a diabetic and pretty
Mhm.
bad. Type 2, had got it after a weird vaccine for immigration, and with a host of other problems, but it was still, I was a diabetic. And this is a question that keeps coming up, like fruit is all sugar and it will raise your blood sugar. Well, it doesn't, but it does when you're still eating fat.
Mm.
So if you, and I tested it out, believe me, because I'm pretty much a sucker for avocados, and that is high fat. So
Mm.
when I eat the whole day, I eat, all my fruit juices, and I have my orange juice a liter, my apple juice, my grape juice, and in the evening, if I would take an avocado, I'm back on very high sugar ratings, and it happens every time. It is the fat that it's doing, and not the fruits. So you heal, your body can heal just on all fruits. It's with everything. It's always the all fruits. And it doesn't mean that you can never eat any fat, but you really have to heal first.
Right.
And it's, part of your pancreas healing, but with fruit, your body can heal. It's just giving it the right fuel.
Yeah, it's like fats in general, just you can just see it in how they operate. They slow everything down. So if you're consuming excess fats, it's going to slow things down. So if you're trying to detox and get things moving, you're being counterintuitive with what you're consuming. So it is, yeah, really important to at least pause while you're detoxing, and then you can slowly reintroduce them back and see how you feel as you do. But I know you've said yourself that you can't do avocados ever because of just how they make you feel. So that's something that you've
It's it.
intuitively.
Yeah, I don't believe it is forever. It is like when my
Mm,
body is really healed, and at my age, that can take a while, and
right.
then you can slowly introduce it, and once in a while, to not get back, because you don't want to keep eating the foods that got you to the point where you are.
Hmm.
So we already know we will never go back to the meat, dairy, and eggs, and hopefully
Yes.
not the cooked foods, which means also grains and beans and all that
Hmm.
stuff. So, but if you keep doing it, everything the right way, it's like it works. And if you're not as sick as I was, because I was literally dying. I was just explaining to someone about like 2.5 years ago. I could maybe talk for 15 minutes, and I was completely out of breath. And I
Mm.
had not thought about it until last Monday. I was pretty much on the phone from well, just after 6 in the morning until after 11. I was actually with you, Justin,
Mm.
and I had been talking pretty much the whole day, and I'm perfectly fine. So that big of a difference, and just by leaving out all the bad foods and introducing all the fruits, and magic. To me, it's absolutely
Yeah,
magic.
it is. Because our bodies are miracles, and the more that we get out of their way, the more miracles they can perform. And so when we can identify all of these, quote unquote foods that are just adding these layers of disconnect between us and our body, and us and being able to shine in the way that it possibly can, we're just slowing ourselves down and keeping us from rising. And so that's what's so amazing about the fruit is it's the highest form of food. It is the lightest form of food. It is perfectly designed for us to act as minimally on our digestive system, to pass through us quickly, to provide us with the easiest form of energy. um, and ultimately, and this is far more advanced than that, but when you start getting into more of pulling in energy from the ether, you can move away from physical food entirely. And this is getting further along the line, but again, it's the same sort of logic of the more that we get out of our body's own way, and the more that we can connect directly with this experience around us, and commune with God on a regular basis, we're truly unlimited. We're truly completely unlimited, which is just really exciting. but it has to start with the food, and it has to start with this baseline so that we can keep accelerating and keep stepping into this miracle that we're playing in. Yeah, it's amazing.
I have a question here that's actually very interesting. I'll read the question. I've been wondering, should we be taking oral vitamin D and K2 if we are not living in regions with UVB? I'm in Vancouver. Also, with the flat earth, is UVB more than they say? That last part I have absolutely no answer for, but I think it is an interesting question. Yeah. It was like the 30 degrees calculation. And I have never thought about that. Would the sun be stronger? I think the sun is what it is. And no matter what the distance is, or, and we are on a flat earth, it doesn't really matter. It is what it is. And to us, it is the way it has to be.
Yes, I would say yes and no, because it's a local phenomena. So it's emitting this energy, these beams of light, the closer you are to it. So I would say that, and it goes back to naturally we're supposed to be within the tropics, because that's the path to where the sun is the closest to on a regular basis. That's where the fruit grows, and that's what we're designed to eat. So yeah, it's hard to say whether you should supplement with things like that if you're outside.
That was actually, no, we don't supplement with anything, because it's all made in a lab. And I have never, and I don't think anybody has ever seen a vitamin D. We don't even know how it looks. We know how it smells. We don't know how it looks.
When they extract it from like sheep's wool or something. Gross stuff.
It is, and the interesting thing, and this is not very well known, and that is just the beauty how our body adjusts to even the different regions that we live in now. You always have, wherever you are, as far north as you are, there is sun at some point throughout the year. Your body stores the vitamin D. It is totally amazing. It stores it to when it's needed. So why worry about it? This is just part of the whole medical, supplemental, 40 billion scam industry to make you believe that you need extra vitamin D or else. So don't worry about it. But the part was with the flat earth was, it is what it is. I was like, the sun is the way it is supposed to be. And we can feel ourselves. How long can we be in there? And, and give it the time that is needed, and then get out of it.
Right. Yeah, I think it just kind of, it goes to, how high do you want to go? If you do want to stay in those regions where sun is not as abundant all the time, yes, our body is miraculous and it's going to adjust, but ultimately you're going to be a little limited. You're not going to reach that optimum level. So if you want to keep going, then we're always going to be drawn to these warmer and warmer climates where we have more access to the sun. So it definitely shouldn't be anything to be worried about. Get outside, get as much sun as you can. Your body will adjust. But it's just like anything, if you're going to keep eating carrots and potatoes and whatever else, then you're not going to reach that highest level of eating the fruits. And it's the same thing if you're going to keep living in Canada or Alaska or wherever, then you're not going to reach that same highest level of moving to somewhere in the tropics.
Yeah, well, it's also the way that we absorb things. And I do believe that even if we can't see the sun, it's still there. Cloudy days. I mean, I'm from the Netherlands. Cloudy days, that's 7 months, 8 months out of a year.
Right.
Just the sun is still out there.
Right. Yeah, it's like the stars too. We're always receiving the photonic light emissions from the stars, even in the daytime, even when we can't see them.
We have been made to worry. It's like by so many things, and it is also so very simple. And we shouldn't worry about these things. There is another interesting question from the same person about should we eat or drink watermelon because it's not high up in the trees as other fruits are. And I had to think about that. I never even considered that, because watermelon is a perfect food.
Mhm.
And no, it's not high up in the trees, but berries are not high up in the trees either, and
Right.
they are on low bushes. So that's not something that you should even remotely worry about.
Yeah, it's interesting, and maybe if we're getting into the nuances of types of fruit, it could be potentially after you've detoxed enough, maybe to move towards those fruits that grow higher in the trees. But I don't really feel like, again, that should be anything to be worried about in the here and now, because if we need to detox, then we need to be utilizing these beautiful tools
Absolutely.
that help
Yeah.
us detox. And
And they,
everyone here needs to detox, because we live in a world where we're just bogged down with smog and chemtrails and shit in the water and all this other kind of stuff. So we all need to detox to some degree or another.
did you know that watermelons were cultivated in Egypt and India as far back as 2500 BC? And that they were
Wow.
a very
No, I didn't know that.
valuable and portable source of water for desert situations where natural water supplies were contaminated. So it goes way,
Yeah.
way back.
Yeah, they are perfect vessels for that.
I love them.
Me too.
But then comes the next question is about olives.
Mm.
Now, is olive a fruit? Is it a berry? It is, you have trees that can even, what she writes, last about 4,000 years.
Mm.
And I tried them raw and ripe, and I thought they were disgusting. But if you want to eat an olive, and the way they are, they're fermented, they sit in salt and in oils or apple cider vinegar or vinegar, just vinegar. So to me, that was not a good food.
Right.
And on top of that, it is very high in fat, actually even more fat than a watermelon, than an avocado. So I don't know about olives, and definitely not preserved olives, because we want to eat food that is alive
Right.
and high frequency. But with the olives, they have been around for so long. So I don't know about olives.
Yeah, I'm not certain about them either, but I would just kind of echo, if you do want olives in their raw form, you do have to find the ones that are sun ripened or um, yeah,
Dried.
sun
Yeah.
dried in that sort of way, because if you introduce the salt and all sorts of other things, it's really, that's that's the flavor that you're wanting, is the salt. And
Yeah.
so if you don't, and again, it goes back to our perfect taste buds. If it doesn't taste good picked off the plant, then we probably shouldn't eat it. It's pretty simple that way.
Yeah, and isn't that interesting that you start realizing that when you have something to eat and it requires salt or pepper or something to make it taste good,
Hmm.
well, that means that it's not meant for us to eat.
Yep, exactly. But we've gotten so conditioned in that way with all the spices and everything else. But it's just
Yeah,
it's the simple truth. The truth is always really simple.
yeah. Now another thing for salt cravings is a weak adrenal, and that goes right back to the kidneys.
Mm.
And I think with all the stuff that we put in our bodies, it's no wonder that we have the problems that we have. But when we now we know the all fruit that works, that heals. Well, it's not the fruit that heals; our body heals when they're given the right fuel. Then there comes another question from Patty, is about when you get mucus coming out wherever, and if you would need to change anything to stop that, and it's like, please don't, be happy it comes out. So the answer was to your question, just write it out, it will go away.
Mm.
After whatever came out that needs to come out, but check if your kidneys are filtering. And then her second question was that the hair got thin. And oh my gosh, do I know what you're going through? Because I lost more than half of my hair, and I hate it. But it's part of the process. It's part of the healing process. You have to keep detoxing. what everybody, well, everybody has that. We have stagnated lymph. And unless we get the lymph moving, so the kidneys filtering, then the lymph moving, and there are a variety of ways to do that, from dry brushing to using a bouncer to walking, light exercising, but only after the kidneys are filtering, so it can all come out. And that is where your healing starts.
Yeah, the kidney.
Justin, you're quiet now.
Well, I was answering a question in the comments, but yeah, just thinking about that, because I know the kidney filtering thing was an aspect that I was looking for a long time, and I do have spurts where my kidneys seem to be filtering quite well, so I'm excited
Great,
to be
that is
over,
exciting.
yeah, to be over that hump. But
And
it's one of
with
those
some
things.
people, it only takes 2 weeks, and if you are like me, it takes you 6 months, and then still not give up, because it will happen.
Mm-hmm.
You will get there. And in the meantime, despite, because I had bad kidneys and I knew that, but despite it not filtering, you're still healing things,
Right.
because you're not putting the junk in your body anymore.
Yeah, and just to remember that don't add that to your list of things to worry about if you are not filtering properly, because
No,
as long
no.
as you just stay on the right path and keep with the fruit, it's going to happen. And there's no amount of worrying that will help that happen. And in fact, worrying about it adds stress, which reduces detox, which makes things worse. So the less we can worry and stress about things, the better we're going to flow and get into that state of purity and being.
Yes, absolutely. When you know that you're doing the right thing, then you can put all your worries aside.
Exactly.
And it is problematic, especially for some people who visibly losing a lot of weight and get very, very skinny. It is part of the process, and it will get better. But then you get, pressure from the outside about, oh, what you're doing is no good. So it takes a little dedication and no worries, because you're very, very right. Stress is so acidic.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, which everything to do with health and the food we consume is so vital, but we cannot forget about the even more important aspect of our health, which is the thoughts that we do or don't take, and the state of being of our emotional being, and how we just are on a regular basis, because we can have the most perfect diet in the world, and if we're still just consumed with thought and stress and worry all the time, you're going to be in a horrible state of health.
I
So it's
have
good to
some,
remember that.
I have something about that, because before I started, I was very depressed.
Hmm.
And so depression is a lot of stress too.
Mm-hmm.
But when I started on the all fruit, it was like this dark black veil was lifted, because you are eating higher frequency foods, so you can handle the stress better.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that when you are on all fruit, it is pretty hard to be as stressed as you were before. There will be a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it certainly helps, and that's why it's vital as a foundation. But I feel like our left brain's pretty tricky, and it could still pull us into those dark spaces if we allowed it, even if we were in that high vibe food. So it's just important to remember, to stay out of the stress and don't worry about things. Take the load off. It's all good.
Yeah, I tell that my clients too, and otherwise just call me.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Another question from Calvin was, are symptoms within the head, like dental, cataracts, hair, a sign that excess intestinal mucoid plaque needs to be cleansed, or is it the actual tissue in the head acidic and need detoxifying? Well, it's actually just stagnated lymph. And it was pretty much answered in what I previously said about getting the kidneys filtering, and the fruit will do that, and get your lymph moving. And he mentioned, he definitely knows Dr. Morse, because he mentioned a few of his formulas, and the ones that you mentioned, brain and nerve, upper circ, definitely can help. but there is more to it. So you always start with anything, the kidneys. It's always first the kidneys. And I say first the kidneys, let's not forget the intestinal tract that we need to clean out, because that is a major part of the healing process. And with that, we came to a question from Mike, and I haven't read the whole question yet, but I do see about gas and bloating. The interesting thing is that even on a high fruit of all fruit diet, you can have gas and bloating. And it comes from wrong combinations in fruits. It's that simple. And he writes he had a long history of breads and sweets and is giving that up now, fighting candida. We all have candida. It's just, part of us. Yeah, junk food.
Yeah, it's necessary. If we consume dead food, we have to have candida, or otherwise we would die. So it's necessary.
Absolutely. We always have some, but you can have a little bit too much, and it shows. But it is, you have to let go of the breads and the grains and the sugar or sweets or whatever sugars you're using. And I think, fruit is sweet. So you can eat a date once in a while. I mean, dates are absolutely great and they're super sweet. So it is, if you give your body the right fuel, your body will know what to do and heal. And you get in with the problems in the intestinal tract is using the right formulas to reduce that.
Yep.
And something to improve eyesight. I have to admit, I am struggling with my eyes, and sometimes I wonder if it is because I spent way, way, way much time on my tiny iPhone SE, which is tiny. And I can read absolutely the smallest prints, but my God, no, my glasses don't even help for anything beyond that. So I am working on healing the cataracts. And you can heal that the same way as everything else, because the cataracts is, again, stagnated lymph in the head.
Yeah, so just keep on it, and eventually
keep doing it. And so there's not necessarily anything that I could say, oh, you have to take this or this, because what I learned from Dr. Morse is that we do not treat symptoms. You want to heal the body. And I was one of these people that for, I don't know, more than half my life, quite a few years, I was using supplements. I spent easily $500 to sometimes $1,000. I'm almost afraid to say it.
Yep.
To all the supplements that I had to take, because otherwise I would get this or this or this. Did it ever make me feel better? Absolutely not. Was I afraid that if I wouldn't take that, I could probably die? Because that is how brainwashed I was. Well, when I stopped all the things that I was using several years ago, I think it's now about 3 years ago, nothing changed. I didn't get sicker. Actually, when I left it out, I pretty much got better. And it's like a big example, for instance, is melatonin. So many people take that because they can't sleep. And when you take melatonin, your body stops making it. So with most of these supplements, which are not herbs, your body, it's a foreign object. It's synthetic. You can say, yeah, but it's made from real food, still made in a lab. It's isolated chemistry. It's not helping you. It's hurting you. So,
most of those supplements are, I mean, all of them really, unless you're getting like actual herbs or ground up food, or ground up fruits and vegetables, they're synthetic, they're inorganic minerals, and our body cannot absorb those. It just accumulates in different regions of our body until we're able to detox and get rid of them. So you're making the problems worse by taking these yeah, these things that our bodies they don't know what to do with them. They can't do anything with them. It can give the appearance on a blood test that we have, some form of mineral or supplement or whatever in our system when they take blood tests, because it can flow in our blood. So this is where this false idea comes into play. But it's not being absorbed by our body. It's not being utilized in any sort of proper way. So it's just costing us money and killing us at the same time.
Yeah, and it cost us a lot of money,
Mhm.
and I did not find it pleasant to take 15 to 20 pills three times a day. I hated it. So
Definitely not.
that is never that's not helping you either, because just you feel like you have to do that. I have a short other answer to Mike about any recommendations for the eyes. We do have an herbal formula for the eyes that you can take internal, but also use for eye washes
Mm.
to help it clean out. And the last question that I have that you sent me in email was actually about breastfeeding, pregnancy, and detoxification. And that is from Phoebe. And I saw today in Telegram that somebody thought you could not eat all fruit when you were breastfeeding, because then the milk would change and the baby would no longer want it. And it started to dawn on me. It's like, well, that doesn't make any sense, because being frugivores, eating fruits, having babies, what did these people eat then? If it couldn't be fruit because the baby wouldn't like it. I mean, babies can live on fruit. They
Mhm.
even love fruit. They can live on fruit from 1 month old, if it would be fruit with coconut milk, for instance. It's very possible.
Mhm.
And breastfeeding for many years was another question. And it's not really recommended up to a year. But after that, no, get them used to fruits. It will more beneficial, because it is true, everything that you eat. And if you would start detoxing, if you go on more fruit and even fruit juices, which I wouldn't go on the fruit juices, because you don't want to get to that detox level actually. Then yes, you are passing any toxins to your baby, so you don't want to do that.
It's good to know.
But
So you might almost want to maintain, like a whole food diet, but consuming some fats to slow down the detox in that case.
well, it's you don't necessarily really heavily detox on if you are on all fruit, but you can eat the fruit and
Mm.
and and some veggies, and eat some steamed veggies,
Mhm.
eat some steamed asparagus, some steamed sweet potatoes. No white potatoes, please.
Mm.
Because I've seen recommendations in, do you know what they use potatoes for? To make glue.
Right.
So, can you imagine what glue does in our intestinal tract? You don't want it there.
Yeah.
You really don't. So it's great that this lady is eliminating the inflammatory foods, and that's absolutely perfect. But you can eat all raw, and that you want to eliminate all inflammatory foods, because it's not doing your baby any good, not during your pregnancy and not when you're breastfeeding. But eliminating the inflammatory foods does not mean that you start detoxing.
Mm.
That's where you have yeah, you have your leafy greens, and you can eat an avocado now and then, and you can eat a little bit, a few nuts now and then. It's just not, eat a cup of nuts every day, then you get another problems, but you don't want to do that. And for an hydrocolon cleanse, that's fine while you are pregnant, but talk to the ones who do the hydrocolon cleanse, because they definitely know more than I do about that.
Mm.
And I do not advise to just take psyllium husk without, first of all, being very well hydrated. And it is a bulk agent. So if you have a slower digestive system, you actually slow it down more. You're not speeding it up.
Yeah.
So, and
Okay.
there are ways to do that, to clean
Mhm.
out your intestinal tract, but you have to do it very, what is the word? Gentle. Yeah.
Yeah, I can bind you up pretty good, that psyllium husk.
It can. In I've seen people who went in there unprepared, not knowing how it works. Dr. Morse sells a product, and he has it back in stock, and it's actually, the name is funny. It's called GI Broom.
Mm.
So it actually sweeps it clean, but you only do that after the correct preparation. After, already he's starting to heal your bowels with the right herbs, and then after 2 weeks to a month, on a lot of juice, you start to you well hydrated, then you start to use the GI broom to clean out all the toxins and junk from previous years. So
Did
actually, Justin, these were my the questions that I had.
I sent you one more that came in just a
Okay.
second ago. It was about from Toni, and she said, "I've been on synthetic thyroid hormone for over 10 years. Every time I try to wean off, my face swells up and I become so tired I can barely function. Been vegan for years and been juicing for the past year. Did fruit juice fast of almost 30 days, craving for lentil soup that was became too powerful. The entire time I was juicing, I was always hungry in every way, just got stronger. Anyway, how can I get off the medications without the horrible problems?" So
I
on yeah, on the cravings aspect, I would just make sure you're consuming enough juices. A lot of times when people do juice feastings, they don't make enough juice, and that can so just if you have cravings, just make more juice. And it's one of those things where we've got to really that's a beautiful aspect of it, is really uh, wrestling with this addiction that we have for particular foods, and recognizing how much we are drawn to it. So that's a part of the process too. You're just going to have to let go of those powerful cravings and urges. But as far as the medication goes, I'll let Toni kind of speak on that, because I don't have much
Yeah,
experience.
she definitely needs some herbs to help her with that, and and we go with the same route as I have mentioned before, and then add to that the thyroid tonic to the herbal supplement, so she can wean off the thyroid hormone, because this is damaging her thyroid, the synthetic thyroid hormone.
Of course it is.
And yeah, and so, but yeah, with people always being hungry, you can eat as much fruit as you like. You don't have to
Mhm.
be hungry. If you and what I also found, and I don't know if that happened to you too, Justin, is that when I'm hungry and I'm not detoxing and I'm hungry, that feels like, oh my gosh, I have to have food, otherwise I'm gonna kick somebody. I need to have food and I have to eat. When I'm on all fruit, yeah, there are times that I can be hungry, but I don't have that same nasty feeling. It feels
Yeah,
different. It's a rumble
right.
in my stomach, and I can easily ignore it. So there is something going on that is a little different with her, and we have to figure out and get to the bottom of it, and that can be done, but we cannot do that in here. It's like I like to talk with somebody and have them
Mhm.
fill out an health questionnaire, so we get to the details, see what else is going on, and go from there.
Yes, which is a good point. So if you do want to get in touch with Toni, she's got her contact information in the show notes. So that's a great way to get started in that process.
Yeah, I don't know which one what you put in there, because
I-
I get requests in 4 different social medias, and I've been kicked out of Facebook again.
I've
Um,
just got your email and then your
Perfect.
your website.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. Well, my website or Facebook, my website is not ready yet. Facebook, I cannot be reached because I cannot answer people. But email, perfect. Please do.
Great.
That works
Great.
every time.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, and just for oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just looking at the clock, and it's like, my gosh, we already filled up an hour.
Yeah, it's perfect timing. Yeah, and so for next week, for any questions that y'all have, just make sure to send an email over to understandingtruth@gmail.com, and that'll be kind of our queue of questions to go through. We might get to question, sometimes I can answer a few in the chat, but it's just much easier to have emailed questions so that we can take a look at them and just keep track a little bit easier that way. So I really would prefer the email format. Um, and yeah, I don't really have anything else to add. This was a great start. It's always so good to just be addressing this kind of stuff and continuing this conversation so that we can come back to this state of true balance and purity so that we can begin the work. This is the starting point. You establish the foundation, you build that rock, you build your house on that rock, which is purifying your temple so that you can truly step into what we're here to do, which is doing the work.
I'm so happy to see so many people that are ready to heal their body, the mind, and it's absolutely beautiful, and I love it.
Me too. Yeah, well said. All right, Toni. Well, thank you for hopping on today. I really appreciate your time, and yeah, we'll like I said, we'll be doing this every week for the foreseeable future, and so send us your questions, and we'd love to hear from you. All right, guys.
Thanks, everybody.